UpDown 매치.
Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GSL. This is the Up and Down matches. I am Moletrap. With me here is Wolf, and today is the start of the 3 days that are the most important days for all 15 players that are playing these next 3 days. These are the most important days because these determine whether they go into Code A, down into Code A, where they're fighting for their survival, fighting to keep their career alive, or if they're going to go up to Code S, where there's the opportunity to make a lot of money and really shine.
You know, I think definitely the favorite for this group is going to be Gumiho, one of the few non-Protosses in this group. There are only Gumiho and Zenio are the 2 players in here that are not Protoss, and I think Gumiho has a really good chance of getting out of here. He's definitely a top player. He's really shown himself in Code A. He's played extremely well in Team League as well.
Yeah,
and I think
he had a really good Code A run until he met Curious, who's apparently unbeatable.
Yeah, Curious is pretty strong, but obviously he's already in Code S, so Gumiho's now going to take a shot at it. And I think he'll be able to get out of this group no matter what. We've got some other Protosses as well. We've got Genius, Puzzle,
Sage,
of course. Don't forget about
Those are
Sage.
the 3 Protosses. Well, we will be forgetting about Sage later on in the day, I suspect, because Protoss versus Protoss is going to be very important today because everyone's going to have 2 games versus Protoss, and Sage is actually horrible at that matchup.
Yeah,
so.
Sage has a terrible record versus Protoss. And here's our format. You guys basically know it already. First and second place of each group goes to Code S. Everyone else goes down to Code A or remains in Code A, depending on what where they were before.
Yep.
And if there's a tie, the players will have a rematch. And we've had that actually happen a few times.
Yeah. Last season we actually had a double tiebreaker where we had 2 sets of tiebreakers. That's how Marine King got into Code S. He just barely scraped in with a tie, and then there was 2 tiebreakers, and he finally ended up winning the tiebreaker. So it can happen, and it's actually really exciting when that happens because then it's like everything comes down to every single game. It's really, really crucial. There's our group that we're going to be having today. As Wolf mentioned, Genius, Puzzle, Zenio, Gumiho, and Sage.
Now with all these Protosses in here, it's almost hard to imagine that one of them wouldn't at least get out. And another group with multiple Protosses, Hongin, JYP, Oz, and of course they'll be battling Keen and Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's
that
tomorrow.
group. That's tomorrow.
Yep, and the last group is going to be Group C. Almost all Terrans in this group. Noble S, Tasia, Top, SC, and FXO Lucky is lucky that he only has 1 matchup to play in that group.
That's very true, but he's got hard opponents in there.
That's true.
Especially Tasia. Tasia, I think, will definitely get out of that group. The other ones are pretty solid as well. Top, I can't imagine him going down, but he might.
Yeah, man.
Top's a finalist, man.
He's a finalist just a couple seasons ago, and here he is actually in Up and Down matches this season. Very interesting to see that, and of course, you know, he might be losing his shine a little bit. He did lose to some foreigners, actually, in a recent tournament over in the United States, the IEM tournament, so, you know, we'll see. Anyway, but there's all of our players for all the Up and Down matches. As you can see, a nice handful of 6 Terrans. There's actually 6 Protosses, and then 3 Zergs rounding things out. So the Zerg's a bit of a minority here in the Up and Down matches. Although that's partly because one of the Zergs got straight into Code S, Curious.
That's true.
1 Code A, and there is our first player, MVP Genius.
You can see he lost to Happy and Jakji in the round of 32 in Code S. That's why he's here, and he got last in that group, of course. That's why he's in the Up and Downs. For those of you guys who don't know or don't remember the format. Don't remember how Genius got slapped down. Now here is Puzzle, another one of the fallen Protosses from Code S. He lost to Bomber and Rain King in his group. Doing some very unusual play.
No shame losing to Bomber and Rain King.
Yeah, the builds he did were a little bit odd.
Yeah, he actually...
I feel like he botched them, really, you know?
I'm really curious how Puzzle is going to perform. He's like the one I'm most curious about, actually, that I'm not really sure, because he, like a couple seasons ago, he actually owned Code A.
Yeah.
He looked so good. And then last season and this season in Code S, he actually just kind of looked like mediocre.
Yeah.
And didn't, and in those games against Bomber and Rain King, he just got trashed. So I'm really curious to see if he's going to step it up and be the old puzzle that everyone thought was the next Protoss Bonjour, or if he's going to be the mediocre puzzle that played in last season's Code S group.
And there's Zenio. There's his results. Losing to ASD and Huck in his round of 32 group, and that's why he's here. You can see his win rates down there at the bottom, a little bit below 50%, but this guy's been around a long time. Probably most well-known for his backhand against Idra when you beat him in his EVZ.
He's the bane of Idra's existence, knocks him out of every tournament they meet in. And there's our last player, probably the favorite here, FXO Gumiho. And is that a Z there? I think it should be a T for Terran.
Well, you know,
maybe it's just wrong on my monitor. It's a little fuzzy here.
You know, it said that it was Zerg there, but you never know. Gumiho actually has changed races a lot of times.
It's true.
He, as far as I know, he's not switched to Zerg. I probably would have known, but he's played random.
Yeah, he's played
switched
random.
around. He played Zerg for a while exclusively, then played Terran for a while exclusively, then played random again, then played Terran exclusively finally. And here is Sage, probably one of the fan favorites out there, definitely the most hyped up player. And, you know, he's pretty good. His PvP, though, is not so good.
Well, as you can see there, he did very well against Yoda, Terran. He did very well against Czech, a Zerg, and Lucky, a Zerg. And then once he met another Protoss, he got trashed because he has like a 25% win rate against Protoss players. He's 2-8 in his last 10 games versus Protoss. So Sage, he's, I mean, it's almost unfortunate that he just got stuck in a group with like mostly the race that he's worst against. You know, if he'd been in that last group with all Terrans, he actually would have probably a better chance, even though those are a little bit stronger players. Just because
he's probably been practicing only PvP. I would expect, I mean, probably a little bit of the other practice as well, but I think mostly he's been practicing PvP. I would expect to see his Protoss versus Protoss much better today than usual. I mean, this is a really important match for him. He's got to get that Code S.
That's true.
I mean, he's just missed the opportunity so far until now, and now he's going to reach up and grab it.
Yep.
I think he will. I think he may actually be the one to get out.
You think so?
I mean, I think he's like. I think what I mean to say is I think that he's actually going to reach up for it, whether or not
he's
going
to reach up for it. I thought you meant he was going to be another person.
I didn't want to like make a prediction like that. No, okay. I think we actually both personally feel that he's not going to get out, but just because he has to play so many PvPs.
No, but you're right.
But I expect that we'll see a much different PvP from him today than we had in the past.
Yeah, no,
that's the bottom line.
I think you're right about that. We haven't seen much from him for a while, and so we might see him step up his game a little bit here today in up and down matches, since he's known he's going to be in them for a while, and he hasn't had anything else to do but really grind out some practice for a while now.
Yeah.
You know, and he had to practice for the team league a little bit, but
yeah, his team didn't make it. But here we are, Genius versus Puzzle. They're going to be our first two Protosses. The match is going to be on dual site, a standard ramp map, so anything goes. Could see a 4-gate, but most likely we won't.
Yeah, this is, and by the way, this is probably going to be, these two guys are I would say the better PvPers. I mean, obviously there's only 3 and one of them's bad, so that makes these two the better ones. But I mean, this is going to be a really close matchup because Genius's best matchup is actually Protoss versus Protoss. And I believe, I'm going to double check on that Puzzles is as well. We're going to find out in just a moment who is the better PvPer. Everything's on the line. Code S or Code A, where are they going to go? We're going to find out in just a moment with the GSL up and down matches. All right, and here is our first Protoss. He is very, very strong Protoss player. He's been around for a long time. Was one of the original dominant Protosses.
Also a BlizzCon winner.
Yep.
Reminder to everyone, BlizzCon is this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a year, man.
It's been a year. He's still around.
I feel like we should have a party for Genius or something. But here's his opponent, very, very strong, 63% win rate against Protoss players. It's the strongest matchup. Used to be on the team Zenex. Slayer's Puzzle. There he is. Slayers gets a lot of their teams from their members. Well, they've gotten a couple from Zenex, haven't they?
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know this, Byun has actually left ZenX recently to join Prime.
Yep.
So ZenX is a team with narrowing players. The only player I can remember that they have left really is Core. And I think Line is still on ZenX as well.
I haven't heard anything about line switching, yeah. Tasia used to be on ZenX until he switched over to Slayers as well. Very quick scout here from Puzzle. Just wants to make sure he knows exactly what's going on in Genius's base.
Yeah, Genius actually opting to scout after Core. It's actually becoming more common in this matchup as all-in builds have become less and less common. A lot of people like to skip that first Zelt, like to go for a fast Stalker anyways. And you know, when you get into your opponent's base and you have that probe in there, even if they have a Zelt, you can run away forever, but even so, you can scout late.
I thought it was interesting. Genius, he like smelled something fishy going on. He saw that probe go in his base really early, and he's like, I'm going to check in my base and in my natural for proxy gates, just to be sure.
Yeah, he absolutely has to check for things like that when he sees a probe that early. Like I said, the trend has been scouting much later, so both players have taken their gases. Puzzle has made a Zealot. He's not skipped that, whereas Genius has skipped the Zealot. I take it back, he actually did make a Zealot.
He skipped skipping the Zealot.
He skipped skipping the Zealot, man. He skipped all the way to the studio, too. That's what I heard.
That's exactly what happened. Both players getting their Stalkers as well. Pretty much mirror builds at this point right now. And they both kind of want to, you know, wait until they chase the enemy probe out with their Stalker before they go for any kind of tech decision. Yeah. So their opponent is not aware of what they're doing. And Genius is actually getting a single sentry in a robotics facility, so he's going to try and use that sentry to defend if there's any kind of early attack while he gets a little bit higher tech, and he's actually going to be way ahead in tech because Puzzle is not teching right now. There's the Robo.
Puzzle's making his Robo now. He actually made a second Stalker rather than making a sentry. Stalkers are doing battle in the middle of the map, and they both decide to walk away from each other.
Oh, the probe of Puzzle sneaks in and sees that Robo.
Yeah, he was able to scout that. That's huge. Now he knows whatever he's doing is safe, and in fact, he may even skip an Observer now with what he's doing because he doesn't really need to make that Observer to scout what his opponent is doing. And actually, surprisingly, is making another sentry after scouting that Robo. That's a bit of a weird choice.
Interesting.
Observer being chrono boosted out for Genius now.
Yeah, Genius does need to know what's going on in Puzzle's base. Genius adding a couple more gates as well. I believe Puzzle added on, has he added on anything? Puzzle is just on one gateway, I think.
But he's adding a Twilight Council. We could see Puzzle go for this new build that a lot of people have been working on right now. It's the Observer Blink build, where you basically expand quickly, you get Observers out, and you make only Blink Stalkers, and then you contain your opponent using Blink. Whenever he moves out, you just Blink into his base, kill a pylon, then Blink back out and buy as much time as you want to get that expansion up, whereas Genius is going for Colossi, a much more standard and safe build, I guess you could say, a much easier build to execute.
Definitely. Yeah, and you know, it's going to come a lot down to the timing here as far as which way this is going to go, because if Puzzle can get in there and really, you know, put the pressure on before there's too many Colossus out, before there's, I would say, 2 maybe, then he's going to be able to do some damage. Whereas if he stalls too long, or if Genius, you know, delays him, and gets a couple Colossus out, it's going to be really hard for him to actually win with Blink Stalkers, just because, especially if the Colossus have range.
Yeah, and he's getting his Blink a little bit late. He's not actually doing the expand build I was mentioning. He's actually going up to 4 gateways, so he's going to be doing this off of 1 base. And he may eventually expand perhaps to a hidden location or the gold base. But here's what's really smart. Genius is going to go ahead and take his expansion after he scouts this. He knows his opponent has no Nexus, and he can hold this very easily with Immortals. He can start Colossus production. He has 1 Immortal out already. It's going to be, I say he can hold this very easily. It's not going to be easy, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be easy. It's going to be sort of easy once he gets that Colossus out. It's not out yet, though. So this little attack here by Puzzle might land just at the perfect time right before the Colossus come out. And he might be able to do some damage, maybe force cancel on the Nexus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, I think he's going to, well, Colossus is almost there, and Puzzle's waiting for that pylon so he can warp in another round of units.
Yeah, that Colossus is so important here because he has that sentry, so he can do all sorts of tricky things. He can force the units of Genius outside of his base, then force field them out, then blink into the main, do things like that. But now that the Colossus is out, that doesn't really work as well anymore.
Oh, wait, is he... He sees with his Observer that the Colossus is out. And what is he going to do here?
He's just going to fight at the edge. He knows range can't be done yet. He might want to pick off a Stalker or two.
And is he going to cancel the Nexus?
He force fields here, and he does not cancel the Nexus.
See, that's what I was thinking. You know what? He sees that. He knows he has a better army in the open territory. He's going to wait for the Nexus to finish so he can't cancel. That's exactly what he did. He didn't put the pressure on until the Nexus was finishing. Genius still at a moment where he could have canceled, but Puzzle very wisely. He goes in for the kill, though. He's trying to target down that Colossus. It does back up. But it does go down after all. It just blinks back out with the damage done. Another Colossus popping out might save the day.
Really nice control there by Puzzle. I really did not expect him to blink in there. When he did that, I was like, oh, he's made the wrong choice. But he got the Colossus and pulled right back down the ramp. Didn't even have to blink. He was able to pull his Stalkers back down there before blinking. And he's probably just going to... Whoa, he's actually going for it again. I'm not sure if I agree with this, but he is going to do some decent damage. He did not, however, get the Colossus. He's losing a lot of Stalkers here.
But there's just not enough underneath. He can blink for it. He can pick off that Colossus very easily. He does so. Another Warp in for Genius. Is it going to be enough, though? Probably not, because, again, he can just... There you go. Blink right out. Damage is done. Another Colossus is going to come out, but he keeps losing Colossi without really killing many Stalkers in exchange.
I'd like to see him switch over to Immortal production, stop making so many Colossi. Yeah. The Immortals really are the great damage dealers here. Oh, he's going to go for the Immortal. No, goes for the Colossus instead. Taking a lot of hits here, but he does get the Immortal down. The Colossus remains alive. The Zealots and Probes chasing the Stalkers out, but again, the Puzzle blinks out. Right now, the worker count is 28 Probes for Genius and 29 of Puzzles. Even though he's got a few Probes pulled, he's lost a few. He's still okay.
Oh, beautiful snipe on that Colossus, and now it's only Zealots. He can just kite those for days and days and then just blink out if he needs to. And that one Immortal, he's targeting down the Immortal. That Immortal has been the only thing doing damage to his army. It is now gone. And I think Puzzle has this in the bag now.
Yeah, I think absolutely he does. He's going to take out these sentries. The last Zealot will fall. And that is going to be about it. One Zealot for Genius, or for Puzzle rather, not even fighting here, just kind of hanging out on the side. There he goes. He's going to participate with the Stalker Brothers.
3, 2, 1. Oh. Nope, Genius wants to stay in the game.
Genius wants to scout. He's actually sitting in
There
Observer.
we go. GG, a few seconds off, but yeah, Genius is definitely out of that game.
He just wanted to send an Observer into his opponent's base to kind of see if he wanted to see if he had a Nexus yet or not. That's why it didn't GG at his Observer.
That's always fun to do.
Well, you know, Puzzle was actually so good at his Blink Stalker control, and he was so brave. And all of those moments when he blinked up, I was sitting there cringing like, why would he do that? It doesn't even make sense for him to blink up like that, but he actually just was able to keep the Colossus count low.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he just barely had enough to where he could get out without losing very many Stalkers.
Yeah.
Just barely, though.
Barely.
I mean, it was 1 or 2 Stalkers less in those engagements, and he actually would have just lost the game.
Yeah. No, it was like I was saying earlier. If he gets out 2 Colossus, it's going to be dangerous to deal with, and he won't really be able to win the fights. But every time he got a Colossus out, he'd pick it off, and one would come out, and he'd pick it off right before the next one came out. He did that 3 or 4 times, so he was never able to get those 2 Colossi out at the same time. And I think you're right. It was very close.
It was scary, man.
Because of the Immortal that was mixed into that, doing tons of damage to his Stalkers.
Plus the Zealots. If you blink Stalkers on top of Zealots, you know, the Zealots are going to do a ton of damage. That's why when most people are trying to hold off a Blink Stalker all in, they make mostly Zealots and Immortals. The Immortals do real range damage. But the Zealots, of course, if you try to blink on top of the Immortals, the Zealots do a lot of damage. A Zealot could beat a Stalker 1v1 if the Stalker can't move. But, you know, Puzzle kept moving back ever so slightly, and he actually pushed back down the ramp while his blink was on cooldown. Then the second he had his blink, he blinked out. He was able to blink or walk his Stalkers down the ramp so the Zealots couldn't get a lot of surface area after the Colossus was dead. Yeah, so really nice micro.
Really, really well controlled by Puzzle there.
Absolutely.
And there we go. Puzzle showing that. I mean, when I said he's got a really good record versus Protoss, a lot of those games are in other tournaments like the ESV tournaments and, iCup tournaments, etc. So here he is proving out on the main stage, though, on the big stage here at the GSL, that he can also go up against players like Genius and win.
Yeah, really impressive play by him.
Very
Going
well
for that Blink Observer build, I think, is actually going to be the new best build right now. I mean, he did a different variation that I was talking about than the Expand build. It's very difficult to do the build I mentioned on a 2-player map, especially dual site. The rush distance is kind of short. It's not a good map where there's not a lot of blink area, but in general, that new build that people are doing, it just allows you to be really mobile. It basically gives you more options than your opponent. Colossi are still strong. They're still a very generic, easy build to do that's solid. It's still a safe build. But against good players like Puzzle who just know how to punish it, it's so hard to use.
Punish it, he did. Really curious to see, because Genius, he looked he looked okay in that match, you know, despite the fact that he lost. He looked okay. I'm really curious how he's going to do for the rest of his matches, too, because he's another player that I'm not sure about because he's been playing really badly like the last month or two, but then like in the Team League playoffs, he actually looked really strong. So it's like, oh, well, actually, did he decide to practice some and now he's good again? I don't know. So he's lost one game, but he's got some coming back to do. We're going to see what he's going to do. The next match is going to be Gumiho
Versus
there he is on the right
Zenio.
versus Zenio. Gumiho versus Zenio.
Yeah.
And
the map's going to be Daybreak. Oh, you saw it in Korean. Yum Yum.
There it
it's
is.
hiding back there.
And I think Gumiho is definitely the clear favorite here. Zenio has not been on top of his game for quite some time now.
Yeah, Zenio's been he's been that player who's managed to stay in Codes for a really long time, despite just not really being on top of his game, like you said.
Yeah, kind of like Hongen.
Yeah, Zenio is like the Hongen version
Hongen.
of Zerg, or the Zerg version of Hongen, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, both players that just have been staying in barely. They haven't really advanced past the round of 32 or 16, but they've been staying in Codes for a while. Are we going to see Zenio start his descent into Code A? Or will he surprise us and actually take out Gumiho? We're going to find out in just a moment here. Daybreak is the map. Will the day break for Gumiho, or will it be at nighttime for Zenio? Whatever that means. Never mind. I was going somewhere with that, but I got distracted and went off course. The train got derailed. The thought train of thought. Wolf. Talk.
I'm just laughing, man.
All right,
well,
we're going to get into the game in just a minute here. Actually,
the reason why we hadn't got in the game yet was because there was a lag out by Zenio, and I think we're going to have to replay.
We might indeed, yes.
Zenio's computer.
As you can see, Zenio's like, WTF, what's wrong?
So we are going to have a rematch, so just bear with us. The towel, Terran wipes his hands with his towel. He's getting ready. They're going to reboot.
Yeah, so Zenio's having some computer problems. So we're going to have to wait for that. Just to bring you guys in the loop a little bit on some stats while we're waiting for this to start. Zenio, not that good against Terran. He actually used to be pretty good against Terran, but I think the game has surpassed him in the last few seasons, I guess. So he's actually only has a 42% win rate against Terran players. So this is not his best matchup. He mostly wins against Zerg because versus Protoss is actually even worse. So I was thinking Zenio was not going to make it before, and now that I'm actually looking at his stats and seeing that he's bad against Protoss, which there's 3 of in this group, it's not looking good for Zenio at all.
No, not looking good for Zenio. And we talked about how Zenio was kind of like the Zerg Hongen a little bit, but Zenio and Hongen have actually met each other so many times in the GSL, and they both actually just fight each other. It's like a rivalry that doesn't really exist, but it exists in my mind, where I just see Zenio just trying to hold off Hongen's Blink Stalker all-ins, and sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. That's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably see some timing attacks hit Zenio here today from some of our Protoss players. We'll have to wait and see. Well, we're back in the game. I think Zenio has actually restarted his computer entirely, so we're just going to have to chill out here. Maybe if you guys are sitting at home, you don't have anything to do, you can get on Twitter and follow me at ProxyWolf. I've actually changed my Twitter ID. My new ID is ProxyWolf. And you can follow Moletrap at Moletrap. And you can follow GomTV at GomTV. Also, if you're just sitting around doing nothing, you can read up about the... actually, we're going to have a finals show here in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
During the actual finals that are taking place at BlizzCon. But if you're here in Korea, you can come to the studio. There's going to be free snacks and Pepsi. And we're going to have set up in Korean and English. So if you want to watch Tasteless in Our Toasts, of course, they'll be on the screen as well. So we'll have both Korean and English broadcast for that. So definitely come down. I believe that's going to be on Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Saturday, 12 p.m., I think it is, Korean time.
I think it's 1. 12 or 1, something like that, yeah.
All right, well, definitely come down if you guys can.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of ironic that we're going to be actually in the GSL studio, but we're going to be watching a remote broadcast of the GSL finals. So that'll be pretty fun, though. And, if you're anywhere else in the States or other countries, I just know there's a lot in the States. There's, of course, going to be bar crafts as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely check those
So
out.
look around to see if, look on Team Liquid or see if there's a post on Reddit or something like that. See if there's going to be a bar craft in your area, because it is actually so much fun to go to a bar or like a pizza place like in San Diego and watch like a GSL finals or any other StarCraft event with a bunch of other people in a setting like that is actually so much fun. So check that out. I was just watching a video from Toronto's Barcraft.
Oh, I saw that video too.
where like the crowd went crazy at the end of MLG. I was like getting nerd chills
Yeah,
all
that's
over.
Awesome.
It was really, really cool. And I've been in those situations too, like in San Diego and in Berkeley and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty good.
Guess someone's like gonna take a picture of us right now. We're commentating, but
So we have to like pose here for
I
the
love
picture.
you guys.
I don't know which camera to look at.
I know, right? We're being photographed.
Take it. All right. Yeah, the Koreans are watching the replay of that last game.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get in on that and show you guys that while we're waiting for the next game to be started. Here we go.
So we're just gonna watch a replay. As you can see here, Genius is defeated. For those of you guys who didn't watch the last game, so we like just had this crazy thing happen to us while we were on camera. It's a little bit weird, but everyone who's watching is like, "What is going on?" Now a bunch more people are coming to take
everyone's
pictures
like,
of
"Oh,
us.
it's photo time." All right,
We're just not going to talk
here.
about this replay.
The other thing I wanted to mention, by the way, is so of course the up and down groups. There's 3 groups. 2 players from each group get into Code S. For those of you that are not good at math, that equals 6 that are coming out of the up and down matches into Code S. And there's that moment where Genius decided not to cancel his Nexus. In hindsight, not the best idea. Just lost it for no reason.
Did hurt, but even so, that 400 minerals is much less significant than the fact that he just does not have the gateway production to make very many units.
Yeah.
He only has 3
well,
gates.
if he canceled it, he could have made another gateway.
True. Very true.
And gotten a couple more zealots out or something. Anyway, so there's the 6 players from the up and down matches, and that leaves 2 more Code S spots to get into the Code S round of 32. And those spots come from MLG and from, of course, Code A finals. And there he is again sniping. And look at this. He like falls back from the zealots. He's like, "Oh, I'm running away. You need to catch me. JK, I'm blinking forward and killing your Colossus." That was really good control. Anyway,
Yeah, he only picked a few stalkers there, so that even if it failed, he would have only lost a few.
True.
So he'd keep the majority of his stalkers.
Yeah, the rest of the stalkers weren't on top of the zealots. Anyway, so just to let you guys know, so the 7th person, of course, is going to be Curious, who won Code A. And the 8th person, spoiler alert, from MLG, so close your ears for about 30 seconds if you don't want to know what happened at the end of MLG. OGS MC,
Yeah, MC is gonna make a
after
return.
getting knocked to Code A, after getting knocked to Code B, is now re-secured Code S straight out of nowhere by going ahead and getting 2nd place in MLG.
You know, he played pretty well at MLG. I have to give him that. He did show me some things at MLG where I was like, MC, you still haven't changed. You still can only do timing attacks. But in other ways, I saw some awesome play out of him. So I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to do in Code S. I don't expect him to make it out of the round of 32, but I'm really excited to see him try again. He's such a classic character. He's a character we've seen so many times in the GSL. So
yeah,
when
he's definitely a character.
You know, when he fell out, I thought it was about time for him to fall out. But I mean, you guys have heard my opinion on this 1,000 times. I've told you guys. But when he fell out, I was like, well, it's about time. But now he's got another shot, and I think he'll use it pretty well.
We're going to see, yeah. I'm really curious to see how that goes as well. And
there's our GG again. So
there we go.
There you have it.
So he's going to be back in Code S next season, and of course the GSL finals. Code S finals are going on in just a few days.
Yeah, make sure you guys
this
tune
weekend.
to that. Go to those bar crafts. Come to the studio here if you're in Seoul. If you're not, then get with your friends. Don't watch the finals alone.
I think it's going to be 8 or 9 p.m. in California. I think it's 9 p.m.
I think you're right. I think it's 8 or 9.
Yeah. So
I think it's 9.
Yeah, I think it's 9.
We're pretty sure it's 9.
We're pretty sure it's 9.
Yeah, I think so. I would say so, yeah.
And so, yeah, make sure you check that out as well. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be watching those finals if I can.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of traveling in the next couple weeks, seeing some more sights in Korea. So
It's a great place.
Not sure if I'm going to be able to make it, but yeah, it's going to be
You'll
fun.
be there in spirit. You'll be watching on your mobile device at m.gomtv.net.
That's right.
You guys can make sure that you do that if you have a mobile device like an iPad or an iPod Touch or an iPhone.
Yeah, it actually works really well.
Yeah, any other mobile device, you can still go to m.gomtv.net. It's really cool. Watch Nick and Dan on the go. You can watch us on the go, depending on who's broadcasting that day.
Yeah, or you can actually watch the VODs on there too.
Yes, you can watch the VODs as well.
So it'll be sweet.
And Zenio's computer is actually going to be changed. So we're going to have a little bit more downtime here.
That's quite all right.
Yeah, it's totally fine with us, man. We've just been chatting it up.
I was thinking about today's matches today. I was reminded of a tweet that you sent the other day. Did you actually run into 19 Prodosses in a row on the ladder?
19 Prodosses in a row. 19. I played on actually different accounts. I was like getting mad. I switched to another account on a different server. It was like only Prodosses there too. I actually went and recounted.
That's so weird.
It actually wasn't 19. It was 14.
Oh, okay.
But it was still a lot. I just went on Twitter and I just was so mad.
You just smashed the keyboard when you went to the numbers.
I just I typed in 19 because it felt like 19, but I went back and looked and it was actually 14.
Okay. That's
actually
weird because
14.
I actually I remember playing on the ladder a couple weeks ago. I had like a series of like 2 or 3 days where I got like one Protoss opponent over like 30 games, and I was like, where are all the Prodosses? Like, what's going on here? This is crazy. But then, like, the last 2 days, I actually had almost the same thing happen. I ran into, like, 5 Protoss in a row, and then, like, a Terran and a Zerg, and then 3 more Protoss.
You don't have to play PvP, man.
No, I don't.
You don't have to. You don't have to get frustrated when you scout your opponent last and you just happen to two proxy gates near your base on a 4-player map. He guessed correctly, and you guessed incorrectly, and you scouted his base wrong, and you lose to 2 Zealots coming to your base. You just see them coming, and you just GG so fast. At least you don't have to deal with that, Moltrap.
No, I don't have to deal with that. For some reason, like, players are often very cheesy, but for some reason they don't do the proxy 2 gate. They do 4 gates mostly. But we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, 5-minute break, guys. We'll be back with Zenio and Gumiho in 5 minutes.